Hello and welcome to Daily Cricket presents CricTalk. I am Mohammad Isam, ESPN Cricinfo's Bangladesh correspondent, and with me is Atif Azam, the Bangladesh correspondent of CricBuzz. Welcome Atif Bhai to the show.
Welcome. Thank you, Isam.
Atif Bhai, before we start, I want to give a tribute to all those students who lost their life in this battle that we had in Bangladesh, the student protest. We lost more than, I think the official count is 200 plus, but I'm sure it's way more than that. I want to pay tribute to them, give a little prayer to them, because they have sacrificed a lot for this country, for the sake of restoring democracy and cutting down the violence in this country. At the same time, the country has changed. There's been a big change on August the 5th. The Awami League-backed government, they have now resigned from government. Some of them are in exile, including the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She's in New Delhi, and a lot of things have changed in Bangladesh in the course of the last week. One of the things that we are concerned about, obviously, is the Bangladesh Cricket Board and Bangladesh Cricket. There was a lot of connection between politics or Awami League's politics and cricket. So tell us give us a sort of like a roundup of what it is going to be like in the BCB. What is it like in the BCB right now?
Well, I can tell you about today.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite frightening. Today there was a mass protest against the current regime run by nazmulhasanpapon. A lot of people gathered in front of the BCB. But what struck me most is that even before today, there were 2 or 3 times when some of the people came to the BCB and went into the BCB, into the office.
They entered the BCB office?
Entered the BCB office. Today, the army was there, patrolling there, and the army was very adamant not to allow outsiders to come in. After a while, certain outsiders were allowed. Only a few were allowed to come in who have worked. But the way the protest and the human chain was made, it was quite a showdown.
Can you explain to us who these people are? I mean, do you know them? As cricket organizers? I mean, what are they protesting for?
I think they are protesting for the resignation of the board president and the whole board.
They're demanding the
they're making this demand, but I don't think that it's not as easy as they are making out to be.
Right. Why do you say that?
Because Ishan, the constitution, according to the constitution, there are a lot of clauses that need to be followed if you want to run this board.
Right.
First of all is that the board president need to be if the board president have to resign. If he doesn't have to resign, then you have to give a valid reason of his resignation.
Right.
Currently he is in exile. Currently he also fled away from the country according to the media reports. But he's still the board president. And this board is still, his Nazmul Hasan-led board is still running the show.
Right.
And it's not very easy to just make them go away from this board. Because what I understand is that even if some of the directors are thinking in the line of making a quorum and things like that, but even if you want to make a quorum, you have to call a board meeting. And that our CEO cannot do, according to the constitution.
The BCB CEO cannot call the meeting.
The BCB CEO cannot call the meeting. According to the constitution, the BCB's board president have to order for a meeting that the CEO will execute.
Right.
So whenever if Nijamuddin Sujon call a meeting without the consent of the board, then he will be asked for.
Right. It'll be a breach. Basically.
It will be a breach.
Yeah.
And secondly, if you abolish this board without following the constitution, and if someone just made a writ petition against it, then this board will be stuck where it is.
Right.
So BCB is not making any statement. It must be pretty surprising to you that the BCB, who are known to be so much vocal about everything, is right now shut their mouth.
Yeah.
Because BCB is not making any statement because their legal team is working. They are working with the legal team to see how they can go forward.
Right.
After the August 5th,
yeah,
they suddenly tried to regroup. They went to the sports advisor recently, met him.
Yeah.
The sports advisor asked him to make an interim, which I think is a difficult job because as per the constitution, the National Sports Council cannot form an interim board, because any kind of changes in the constitution has to be made by the General Council.
At the AGM or EGM.
At the AGM,
Right.
at the annual meeting or the EGM, but the General Council has the right to change constitution.
Right.
The National Sports Council only has the right to approve that or say give a suggestion. But the National Sports Council just right now cannot say that we form an ad hoc, making you, me, and all those things. I'm just
Got it.
you got it. So there are a lot of complications. Today, I've seen some of the guys were claiming that we want a political free BCB. I admit what they said. But the thing, everyone who came to the BCB today have a political identity.
Right.
It looks to me like it's the same old wine in the new bottle. Because if you want, I think that reform is very important for BCB. Certainly there's a call for reform from everywhere.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you. So what you're saying is that today is August the 13th, right? Yeah. So today the group that came, they're from a political background, you're saying?
Yeah. Because the man who was leading the group today is affiliated with a political party.
Okay.
And as the sports
But Atif bhai, there have been other people with no political leanings, like Nazmulhasanpapon Fahim, the cricket guru in Bangladesh. You know, he's coached Shakib, he's coached Tamim, Mushfiq, you name it. He has come forward and talked about reform. And after he has done that, you had Syed Ashraful Haq, the former board general secretary. He was the ACC CEO. He's like I would say, the most famous cricket organizer in Bangladesh. I mean, apart from Mr. Nazmulhasanpapon being a president now, but before that, Ashraful Haq was very important in Bangladesh cricket. He also came out and said in favor of reform, or better people should work in the BCB. I've heard Farooq Ahmed, I think, has spoken about it. I've heard one of the cricketers, Nurul Hasan Shohan, he has come forward and talked about it. So these are two distinct voices, I think. One is calling for change, which I believe is a political change. And the other one is asking for a change, sort of like a more detailed reforms, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the main thing is that the way the one who are calling for the political change, they want drastic wholesale changes.
Right.
Well, I've taken the interview of Ashraful Haq, and he mentioned that there are capable people in BCB.
Right.
He wants that people who are incapable of running the show, who could not produce the desired result, only those people should go away because they have spent such a long time and could not give the desired result.
Right.
But he is not saying that the capable people need to leave.
Right.
Currently those who are coming today and asking for it, they are looking like that everyone has to go.
Just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it, because they are not understanding that Isam, I'll ask you this question a bit later. That US probably you have known that what vacuum, but they are not understanding that these guys who are coming in now is the guys who left this place in 2007-8.
Yeah.
Cricket has changed a lot.
Too much, in fact.
Too much. So in that case, whether they know what they are asking for is one thing that I need to understand.
Right.
Because I just give you a simple example, Isam. We are still expected to host the World Cup, T20 World Cup.
As of now. We are still hosts.
We are still hosts.
Yeah.
But do you think that if any the board, certainly today's, all this thing will go into the media, do you think England, Australia, New Zealand, India, or say other countries, South Africa for matter, when they will see that army is guarding the Bangladesh Cricket Board, they will be very willing to come here. So this showdown
it's hurting
Bangladesh in the long run. Isam, you have been with Bangladesh Cricket for a long, long time. You've seen Bangladesh Cricket. Just day before yesterday when I met you and when I met some of the other journalists, you are saying that I am very few journalists around here who have seen two regimes. I mean, the Najmul regime and the previous regime.
Right. Yeah.
So, What do you think is the way forward for Bangladesh cricket right now?
It's a very good question. Actually, I think if you look at the BCB constitution, it is very complicated right now. Given the situation in this country, there's a new government in place. It's called the caretaker government with Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus being the chief advisor, and we have Asif Mahmood as the sports advisor. I'm sure if you look at reforms across the country, there have been a lot of changes. A lot of heads have rolled. I mean, every day in a newspaper website, if you go to Daily Star or if you go to Pratham Alo website, I think half the news is who is resigning from which post. Bangladesh Bank governor has resigned. All these people have resigned. Big posts have resigned. So there is an expectation among many cricket fans that because of how cricket board has been run, almost like a singular body in terms of they haven't allowed anyone to do anything in Bangladesh cricket. In several ways. I think if we go on about it, this podcast will not be enough. You'll need a seminar for this. But let's just cut to what you asked me. The way forward is very difficult because what the government wants is change, reform, and they want better people to come. I'm sure they want someone a little less talkative, a little more action-oriented than Nazmulhasanpapon. Then when you go slightly beyond Papon, just below Papon, you have directors who have political connections, who had political connections or who were sitting MPs. You had a lot of political connections in that cricket board board of directors, which was very surprising from the start. I mean, of course, you had MPs being the board president, but to have so much political connection, and that has made Bangladesh's cricket very politicized. I think that is the way forward for Bangladesh cricket, to make it less politicized. That's one. And the other thing is there are good people outside Bangladesh Cricket Board, and there are very good people in the Bangladesh Cricket Board. So you have to combine the two. You have to. I think what Mr. Ashraful Haq said, even what Nazmul Fahim said, I think everyone has said, like, look, we just want better for Bangladesh cricket. Now, what will be better for Bangladesh cricket? More progress, less corruption in the cricket board. We have heard thousands of stories of corruption in the Bangladesh Cricket Board. So I think that is where there has to be some reform, and that is the way forward.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is not the first time there's a power vacuum in BCB.
Yeah, this is I think from my experience.
I just want to know that when this kind of power vacuum comes, it also raises concern that whether particular party is going to take the most benefit from it.
Right.
It's very usual.
Yeah, here.
It's not unusual.
Just mention it's Bangladesh.
In Bangladesh, that certain section of people will come and want to take as much as possible in the short period. How do you see this power vacuum, and how do you see a board should be running during this power vacuum? I'm just adding the questions a bit specific, like they're going to Pakistan now. They've got other tours in place. So how do you see this? I mean, I've spoken with some of the guys who are practicing in academy and all those things. They seem a bit frightened because of this power vacuum. So how do you see this power vacuum, and how do you see to resolve it?
I think I at the start of my career as a journalist, there was one after January 2007. And I remember that the team had gone to the World Cup in West Indies. They were playing a preparation tri-series against Canada and I think Bermuda. And they were there. The team was there. But Atif bhai, back then, these things were not that important. Who was in the board? I remember that it was a BNP period that ended. But a lot of the directors had to stay back and run the show, or the employees. And the cricket board wasn't as big at that time. It wasn't as big. The national team was, I think, ranked number 9 or 10 at the time. And what they did in that World Cup was miraculous. They beat India and South Africa. It was mainly due to Dev Watmore, Habibul Bashar and Farooq Ahmed's, that combination they had. They had some great plans. So I remember that that was the first time I remember that there was an ad hoc body. They formed it after 6 months. So those 6 months, the board was whatever the situation was at that time. That was how the board was run. Then you had a body come in. I think July 2007. Sina Imla Jamali was the president. He was as an army general, I think. And then you had some really good people come in, and there was a lot of people who had previously worked in the cricket board, like we had, I think, Jalal Yunus. I think he was part of it. I think Bobby Bhai Mawana was also part of it. But Mawana was also part of the previous board. So again, it was a mix of that thing. But I think now the cricket board, I think there was one in 2013 between AHM Mustafa Kamal's presidency and Nazmulhasan's presidency. And there was a short period, I think 7 or 8 months or maybe less. There was another ad hoc body. But those were all future directors of the cricket board or something. But this is extraordinary. This is how, 15-year rule of Awami League, it ended on August the 5th. Everyone expects, and there's social media as well. So the pressure is different now. The cricket board has to act quickly. The government has to act quickly. If you want reform everywhere, why not the cricket board? And the cricket board is thinking, we've done it quite well for 15 years. Why can't we continue? So this is a power struggle as well. It's a very cold sort of power struggle. We saw the video the other day. I think I saw it yesterday where some of the board directors, the ones who are in public right now, 6 or 7 of them with the CEO, they went to meet Asif, the sports advisor, Asif Mahmood. There was a bit of a cold vibe there, I thought. And I don't know what happened in that meeting. I'm sure it was quite cordial, but there is going to be a bit of a power struggle, I think. It's not going to be your usual sports ministry and BCB relationship. So I wanted to ask you, Atif Bhai, you speak to cricket. So have I, but I want your perspective on what the directors' mood are. The directors, have you spoken to any director who hasn't shown his face yet?
No, I've spoken to a couple
Some of them. Don't have to tell them.
No, I don't want to.
What is the mood like? What is the general mood like?
They were shocked. They are shocked of the whole affair.
Right.
And some of them are very shocked with the way nazmulhasanpapon left, because I know that he has got a WhatsApp group.
Okay.
When he left the country, he didn't even mention anything to anyone.
Okay.
Some of them expected that at least he should have said that, stay safe.
Right.
It's a minimum courtesy that they have maintained. So some of them said that we worked with him for 14 years and now. But the mood is that, what I understand is that these guys, the board directors, they are saying that why should we run away who are staying here? Because you have to understand, Isam, that there's 2 kinds of organizers here. One who have got a background with cricket. Say Kaji Enam. I'm just telling you as an organizer. He has got a family tradition of backing cricket.
Oh yeah, long tradition. Cricket, football, all.
So fine Sina. I'm just telling you. He has a tradition of funding for cricket. So these people did not come to the board to get some coverage or to make some money, if I have to say it in...
You can say it now, Atif Bhai.
It's a new freedom.
New freedom.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
But some of them came here and just for the purpose of earning money.
And being famous.
Both. So in that case, these Fine Sina, Kaji Enam, and some of the cricketers who are with the board, some of them, not everyone, who are with the board, can very well work again in this.
Right, set up.
Their thinking is that why should we leave? We haven't made money. We haven't done any corruption. We were not with. Nobody can show me that I've taken this bribe from anyone, or I've got three or 4 flats through BCB's money. Some of the BCB. There is a speculation that some of them had made couple of flats.
Yeah, of course.
One of these, so the directors, some of the directors are very adamant to return.
Right.
Or very adamant to at least come in front of the people and ask what wrong did I do? And they're taking it very individually, very personally.
Atif Bhai, I think more than the directors, what has really astonished me for a long time and was how Mashrafi and Shakib, being current cricketers, they got into politics in such a way that, that is also how the mood goes in the Awami League probably. They're invincible. They thought that let's take these 2 guys. Of course, it's a political call. That's their call. But you had the BCB telling, because the BCB is so close to the Awami League government, I couldn't believe that the BCB never stopped them from taking Mashrafi or taking Shakib in these 2 instances, 2018 and 2023. And now the interesting thing is, on the day when the government fell, we saw videos of Shakib playing in Brampton in Canada, and crowds were asking him what's going on, and he said, we are gone, we're finished. Then the crowd was abusing Shakib, and Shakib being Shakib, he was player of the match in that game. He's also been picked in the test side. He had made himself available, I think, before the government fell. Why we are talking about is because Shakib is the member of parliament. Just for the international audience, Shakib is a member of parliament. He was a member of parliament, and Mashrafi was also. How do you see his inclusion in this team? You were at the press conference yesterday, I know, or the chief selector's press conference. He's in the squad for the 2 tests against Pakistan. Why was he picked?
I think the selectors wanted to make sure that they don't get into any kind of controversy by not picking him. Because if they had not picked him, then it would have meant that this is a government call.
Oh yeah, good one.
So they were very cautious that they don't want it to be part of a government match. But and what I feel is that probably this is the first time Bangladesh is getting cricketer Shakib after a long time. His all his branding is right now is on the downslide.
Right. Yeah.
His time with the political association has gone down. His business are literally in the downslide. So all he can now devote is time to give time to cricket.
Right.
So probably that is one of the reasons he has made himself available for the whole year.
Right.
Because Shakib being Shakib, you cannot say that if Shakib plays Pakistan series, he will be available for the India series. But now he has said that I'll be available till this whole year.
Wow. Okay.
So he had made long-term plans. But what I want to say is that Isam, I think that Shohan raised this question. You just mentioned earlier that a politician should not enter cricket. And someone who is playing cricket should not
enter politics.
And the same thing, Lipu Bhai also, Gaji Ashraf Hasan Lipu, the chief secretary, also echoed the same sentiment on the last year
press conference.
Last press conference. What I want to say is that I think Shakib's and Mashraf's inclusion in politics and the way public treated them at the later part, at this part, because it was quite shocking for me to see people are throwing sandals at Mashraf's photo in Buet.
Yeah.
The way people burnt Mashraf's house. It was saddening to see.
Very sad.
And it is just because of politics. Because what these cricketers did not understand, that when you enter politics, you divide yourself.
Yeah, you're divided into two basically.
Yeah, you're divided into two. Because earlier, every Bangladeshi used to own Shakib.
And Mashrafi.
But when they joined politics, it's the Awami League. They are Shakib, the Awami Leaguer, who's playing cricket.
Awami League now used to recognize with Shakib.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this should be a lesson for all the cricketers coming up, that while continuing their career, they should be very cautious with whom they are associating to get their career end in a Norway.
Yeah.
I think that is not the case with Mushfiq.
Tamim,
Mahmudullah.
Yeah.
All of them. Mushfiq even got an offer to contest selection.
Right.
Tamim also had an offer. Everyone had an offer because everyone wanted to have some kind of celebrity.
Yeah, because cricketers are very famous in Bangladesh.
Yeah. But they refrained.
Yeah.
They could refrain, so they are not falling into this trap.
Atif bhai, I think enough about politics and cricket. Politics in cricket. I had 2 more questions for you. Taskin is returning to the test side. How do you see that? I think he's only going to play the second test. How do you assess that inclusion at this point?
I think Taskin is eagerly waiting to bowl in red ball cricket.
Right.
I was the one who was with another journalist who was there when he first came into the Shere Bangla after having a 7-day break, following his arrival from the Sri Lanka Premier League. Spoken with him a couple of minutes. He just said that, Atif bhai, that time I took a break because I was just feeling that I was overstraining his shoulder. Because his shoulder, his shoulder is really, it's a trouble.
Right.
His shoulder gives him pain. Okay, why you are now opting to try your luck with red ball cricket? But it's not 4 overs game, it's not 10 overs game. So he's saying that I think that I can manage. I cannot play 2 tests at the same time.
Right.
I can play 1 test in a series.
And I think Atif bhai, Bangladesh has that luxury of at least 4 or 5 fast bowlers. They can. Hassan Mahmood did well in the last test. You have Shoriful. You have
even today I saw Shoriful bowling with the red ball. He knows that he might not be playing, but there are people who can take out the red ball.
Who else is there in the pace attack? Taskin, Hassan Mahmood, Shoriful, Khaled, and who's the other one? Anyways,
so
they have 5. So I think Taskin
they've got 3. But
I think Taskin is playing that 4-day game, right?
4-day game, and then he'll if he's fit, then he'll be playing the second. He'll be available for the second test.
No,
In that case, I think Taskin will be Taskin will manage his test career from now onwards.
Okay.
Isam, I wanted to ask you one question. Bangladesh is going to Pakistan. Bangladesh has already went to Pakistan. What are the chances of Bangladesh in Pakistan? And more so with a squad that is having only 4 players who played in Pakistan Test cricket. Because the last time in 2021, the team that went, it's only Shanto,
Riyadh, Litton.
No, Shanto, Litton. Shanto, Litton.
Mahmudullah.
No, test match.
Yeah, Mahmudullah played.
Mominur.
Yeah, Mahmudullah played. He played that hat-trick ball.
Oh, Mahmudullah and Taijul.
Taijul, right.
It's 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
So now it's Mahmudullah is not here. So it's basically 4 players who played.
Right, yeah.
Mushfiq haven't played in test in Pakistan, nor did Shakib on that. And the last time the Pakistan Pacers ran through Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Nasim Shah and all those.
Yeah.
So where do you see Bangladesh chances this time?
Atif bhai, Bangladesh usually makes a big deal out of what conditions they're playing in. So if they've given the break that they had in Test cricket, 5 months, and then they're just off a very, very poor World Cup, frankly, the T20 World Cup. It is a fresh beginning for Nazmulhasan Shanto's team. I think they have some very good middle order players in Mushfiq, Mominul, and Shakib. If the top order does well, and then if you have Litton doing well, so batting wise, I think they should be okay. I'm very excited about the fast bowling, frankly. I have this feeling that Bangladesh will stay in the game long because of the fast bowling. And they will keep Pakistan under pressure. With the fast bowling, they have to stay in the game long with their batting. So, and the other thing is somehow Bangladesh does well during a very big crisis, whether it's in the cricket board or in their own self, or when the country is facing trouble. If you go through Bangladesh's history, it's a very interesting thing that immediately after ICL or during the last caretaker government or whatever you talk about, somehow they do well in these moments. I think they'll do well. I think if they do well in the first test, they will have some more encouragement for the second test. This is a very crucial time for Bangladesh cricket. I think they have a lot to answer for because the performance hasn't been great this year. So now they have to make sure that the public have something to cheer. So I'm not predicting any result because it's difficult to predict in Pakistan. The wickets also are important. I mean, they could be flat or something. It's important for Pakistan as well. So they also came off a very bad one. In fact, they did worse than Bangladesh. So they will be very eager to do well. So I'm hopeful of watching 2 good test matches, but that'll largely depend on how the Bangladesh batsmen can face Pakistan's fast bowling. Before I finish...
But I've got another...
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of questions.
I've got another question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
You have played cricket and you know cricket very well. How do you see Hatura dealing with the Bangladesh team at this moment?
Oh, yeah. How did we forget this in our list?
Because someone who is backed by nazmulhasanpapon.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to... And he didn't came to the practice session any day.
Yeah.
So what motivation will drive Hatura?
I think for him, it's the biggest motivation. Now he's... basically the people who have backed him for so long, they are not they're still in power technically, but they're not around. So it's a pressure moment for him from a professional point of view, I think. But on the field, I think Hatu, if he shows a different side of him, that might work for him. If he shows a slightly softer side now, because I'm hopeful that the players will listen to him. But it's a very... I know that many of the players they were very emotional when the students died. When the government changed, they cheered. And Nazmulhasanpapon, I'm going out of my way as a professional to say this, I think, but the BCB was also part of the government for a long time. And Hatura Singh, we all know that Nazmulhasanpapon really asked him, I won't use any other word, but really asked him to come. Despite Russell Domingo having a very good record, despite Steve Rhodes having a very good record, they did have good records.
Yeah.
They had someone like Sridharan Sriram with them, who made a good connection with the players, but they still went for Hatu. 2023 February he came. When I asked him, he said they asked him several times. So we have that established, that he's a favorite of the cricket board. The only reason being, I think he's strict, or he looks strict, but from what I've gathered in the last couple of years is that the players don't really respond to that strictness that much. So I think it'll be an interesting time. I'll have to keep an eye on things. You'll have to keep an eye on things. I'm just hopeful that it doesn't affect the players' mentality going out there. But if it does, I think the cricket board has to take a decision on Hatu being so close to. I mean, what if they're on the tour and then something happens in the BCB where Hatu's backers, they're no longer in the board? There's a chance of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sure no one's going to. There's not going to be any issues there. Players are professional. They have good managers there, and they're going to
manage themselves,
contain the situation.
But knowing Hatu, I mean that he need to understand that his backers are not there, because the way he used to rule the dressing room, and
it showed that he was very well backed. Right?
He was very backed. That is one area that of concern for me, because whether he can know that he can draw that line. No, Papon is not around here.
Yeah.
Because earlier, whatever he did, he could get away because there was Papon.
So we are at the end of the show. And on that note, we'd like to end Daily Cricket Presents CricTalk's 3rd episode. We hope to be back soon. Till then, keep us in your prayers. Thank you.